I've got something here that's been a long time coming. Something I've been trying to get for quite a while. If you see what we got there, that's a Browning High Power. Probably one of the best guns in the world. I know that a lot of people kind of go after these things and get the cheap ones or the fake ones. You know, FEG makes one. What's the other one there? It's Argentinian. I don't know, forget it. But there's an Argentinian one out there too. There's a lot of fakes of this gun, all of which are great guns. The fakes are cool too, but just when you hold one of these babies and you see the fit and the finish and you see the bluing on these guns, it really is just, it kind of makes your jaw drop a little bit. It's just that much better made, that much better quality. One thing to note already, I'm pulling the trigger, safety's not on, hammer's not going. Why is that? Well, it's because it has a magazine safety, which means the magazine has to be in before it'll shoot. Speaking of which, I just shot this gun at the range, and I'm going to clean it for you guys today to show you how to take it apart. And while I do that, I'll kind of go into some other things as well. But first thing you want to do when you take one of these guns down is use the safety to hold the slide open. Don't use the slide catch because it'll bang shut once you pull the pin out. Use the safety to hold the slide open. Then you come on the other side, and this little pin right there, you push it. Oh, what's going on? Oh, you gotta push it up a little bit first. There you go, you push it up on the other side, and then you pull it just straight out. Now you can see if you had the slide resting on this, it would shut right now because there's nothing holding it there. Now this is still under pressure, so you want to be careful. Let the safety out, let it slide nice and easy as I do, and it just slides right off like that. This frame is all steel, I imagine. It could be aluminum, but because it is pretty light, but it looks like steel to me. Bluing is absolutely beautiful. Serial number is engraved into the handle. This model is a Vigilante model from 2009, I believe, is what it said on the box. I like the checkering on these grips. Most of the time when you feel checkering on a pistol grip, it's not as deep as this. Like, you got a really good grip on this gun with the way the checkering's done, and that leads you to believe that if you were to scratch this, it would look much deeper and much harder to kind of hide because the checkering is so deep. And you can even see it if you look at it. You can see the raising or the difference in height of where the checkering is. Usually checkering is put inward. This actually comes out further, which makes it cool. And that's the gun there. So I'm going to get into cleaning it here. This is as field stripped as this will get. I mean, you can pull the trigger components out and stuff, but I'm not going to get into that on this video. So we got the frame with the grips, the slide catch, and the takedown pin, I guess is what it would really be called. You've got your spring. Be careful because this is just a little baby spring and it will pop. There's a lot of spring in there. No, it's awfully dirty, huh? Look at that. And you get your barrel. Now, some of the newer high-power clones won't have a barrel like this. They don't have this here because in here there's a stop. And with the FEG clones anyway, at least I know for sure, this piece is whole and there's no stop. And it just kind of slides freely in there. It doesn't ever get stopped up by the bar here. But that's it. It's field stripped. It's 5 basic pieces, and I'm going to go about cleaning them now. Of course, I use my Hops No. 9 solution, my Hops No. 9 oil. I use a little Hops kit with a 9mm brush. I've been using this for years. And I've got some small patches as well. Okay, so the first thing I like to clean with any gun, handgun, is the frame because I like to let it dry before I put everything on it. And the way I do this, not everyone does this shit the same way, but the way I do it is kind of dab a little. Shit, getting excited there. Just dab a little bit of the solution on some of these rags and just kind of go at it. I don't like to touch the wood with the solution, so be careful of that. But everything else you can just kind of, as long as it's steel, which most of the stuff is, you just get in there and scrub away, and you start to see that a lot of this gunk, the gunpowder is in there, and we just want to get that out. There's a little bit of an indent there where the side catch sticks in. I wonder if that's from the yeah, it's not, the bluing's not destroyed, so it's probably put there on purpose. But yeah, I like to get every little piece here, get everything off. Every piece of the frame that's steel or aluminum or whatever, you want to get in there and just give it a quick wipe. Whatever oils and things might be on it, these solvents are great for getting rid of that. And then everything I do, you want to avoid touching the grips actually with your greasy hands. But everything that I do with a wet cloth, I always do with a dry cloth after. That's like kind of key. Wet then dry. Makes sense, right? And you can already see the shine, man. This thing is one of the shiniest, like most beautiful guns you can get your hands on. I really feel like these are made to just be gorgeous. I mean, they're good shooters too. They're great shooters. The trigger is a little bit heavy on the stock version of it. Like you can get it tuned up, and it'll be a lot nicer. But that's basically the frame. I mean, I didn't really touch it much either, and there's not much powder on it to be warrant a whole lot of scrubbing. But that's that. That's the frame. Okay, so now that that's done, I just stick that over to the side on the mouse pad. These still got a good amount of stuff on it, so I like to attack the spring next. And the spring doesn't need a whole lot of attention. Just get the shit off of it. I don't get into little nooks and crannies like other people do, but I just kind of wipe it all down just to make sure anything that's on the surface is off the surface, I guess you could say. The magazine catch or the takedown pin, just kind of rub it down. Get your nasty Hops number 9 all over it. Did it with a dry patch. Same thing with the spring. I'm going to come back and get that too, dry it off. I always like to, when I'm in the cleaning process, I like to dry everything off first, because you're going to lube it back up and you just want the spots that you want to have wetness on them, or lubricant on them. So that's done. You can see on this patch there's not a lot of that coming off, so the spring was relatively clean anyway. That's done. Once we get that. Okay. So then I start with a new set of patches, freshly greased and delicious. And boom. Then we go to the slide. I did the inside first, and I just kind of go crazy in there. You can see it's a little dirty. It's not horrendously dirty, but it's a little dirty. I only ran 3 rounds through it today because of the way the range was set up. The casings kept bouncing off the wall and hitting me. But I still will clean it after 3 rounds. A lot of people wouldn't, but that's just me. I'm kind of meticulous about it. And so I just get in there, you know, outsides too. You want to keep them clean and fresh. And leaving this a little bit of solvent on there is good till you dry it off, because it helps with the fingerprints. You don't, like, you have the solvent, it doesn't leave a fingerprint on there. So, and I've also got one of those Hops dry patch after the wet patch, folks. I've also got one of those Hops silicone cloths that I've used entirely too much, and that gets everything off once it's done. So I'm not worried about that. So we're scrubbing the inside of the frame here, or the slide here. Being careful to get everything out, because this gun might sit for a while. I might not use this gun for a while, because I like to keep it in good shape. The bluing on this gun's like 99%, and you know, I don't want that to change. This gun's beautiful, and it's not very expensive, but it's one of the most expensive guns I've got, so I don't want to ruin it. Okay, so clean that up. Barrel you don't have to be as delicate with. You want to be careful not to foul up the grooves. So sometimes these brushes can be pretty dangerous if you don't do them right, but you want to just push it all the way through and pull it all the way back. What I like to do first, next, after I run it once with this thing here, is I like to wet up some patches, nice and really wet too when you're going through the barrel. Soppy. If you guys can't tell, I'm kind of a slob. That's what I do, I guess. And just run those through. A little bit of dirt on there. But I like to really the point of the first patch is just to get the solution in there and break down some of that gunpowder. Some people don't say use a steel rod. Steel rod will foul the inside of your barrel. If you're not an idiot, you won't do that. Just be careful and push straight through, you know? And then in and out all the way. You don't stop halfway and then turn back. You just in and out, in and out, in and out. And then I'll run the same dirty patch through again because it's going to be gross this time around. Yep. Gross. And with the ones I've already run to, I'll run them again because I like to try to be as, that's the word I'm looking for here, conservative as possible on my patches. That one was a little tougher, so remember, just be careful pulling that out. You don't want to mess up the grooves in the barrel. Okay, and then even more so, just put a fresh patch above the other two that you've already got nice and dirty and run them through. Done. Okay. Now we're going to hit this again with the brush. Okay, new patches. These should come out pretty clean. This, oh, I've got a little spot because I just wiped some of the barrel off, but not clean yet. Okay, I'll put that dry patch on there again. One more time and that should be good. I'm not using corrosive ammo, so I don't really worry about getting all of the gunk out of the barrel. It's nice to do, of course, but it's not going to have any negative effect by leaving a little bit of it in there, so I don't take too much time with it. Then once I've got all this shit right here, all these paper cloths, paper towels, so what I use these for is just a little touch-up. Real simple. We get all the extra goo off of here. Not goo, but solvent. Just kind of give it a good scrub. Make sure there's no paper towel stuck on it because you don't want to get that in your gun. Not for any particular reason, just you don't want it in there if it doesn't need to be. I don't think you could jam it up or nothing. But continuing on with what we did with the slide, same thing. I just get all the solvent off of it. And off will come a bunch of dirt too. Now, I mean, look at that. Wish I had a better way to show you this, but you can't see over there. Oh well. I mean, most of this is going to come right off. And that blue finish is just shining right now. And I haven't polished it down or nothing. It's just, whew, shiny. Alright, once you get that done, put the barrel back in. Oh, we got a little fuzz in there. We'll make sure to get that out. Barrel back in. Nice. Okay. Then you got the recoil spring. Put that back in. Okay. Right. It snaps in. You'll hear it. So make sure you get that to snap. And then you come back to the frame. And remember, we left a lot of gunk on this frame, so we'll come back and clean that off too. All right. Nice and clean. Okay. So once we get all this off, we're going to want to clean that up a little bit. Okay, we're going to want to put the slide back on. Actually, before we do that, two really important spots to grease up on both sides. Right here on the rail, just put a little dot. Boop, doesn't need more than that. A little dot. Then on the back side too, this you want to be even more sparing, just a little tiny dab. And then same thing over here, a little tiny dab. Boom, okay. And of course, we put the barrel back on. Now remember, we use the safety to keep the barrel closed, and my hands are a little slippery now, so I'm going to use these paper towels to help me pull the slide back. Trying to help you guys see this. There's a safety and push. You use the safety to put that back together. It's very important. Okay. Now, when you put this back in, sometimes this can be a little tricky, but you want to get that in there. Excellent. And that's ready to go. I believe that's all the way in. And you just let this baby go, and the gun is back together. Now remember, that trigger won't pull unless you get the magazine in it, right? Done. So now we got a beautiful, clean, high power. Cleaned up to perfection. Now there's a couple things I want to talk to you about this gun. Really simple stuff, a little history, so you know while we're here we can listen to it and we can identify with the past behind it. Now we've all heard of John Browning, right? He's the man behind the basically the M16, not the M16, the M60 machine gun. But also, you know, this is his single action high power. He also designed a bunch of shotguns that have been timeless. One of the best designers for firearms the United States has ever had. Did a lot of work for the military as well. This pistol is known as a lot of things. In French, it's called the Grand Puissant, which is just high power in French. Also P-35, as it's known, just because it's a pistol made in 1935. Most of the armies in the world, and of the biggest armies anyway, had these type of guns in their army. Now, whether it be an actual Browning or a clone, I think over 50 different countries have actually used this pistol in military service because number one, it's just so so reliable. With them at FMJ anyway, hollow points are another story with this gun, but it's really reliable, and it's got a lot higher capacity than the average pistol of the time. You know, the Mauser 1910 or the Luger had a very small round capacity. This came out with a 13. Now the magazine's hold 15, but this one had a 13 round capacity, and that was a lot for its time, especially for a war pistol. And I'm just getting all the stuff off of this, guys. Like oil continues to drip out as it sits, and then if I run the slide once or twice, you know, the oil is going to continue leaking out. And I'll clean it. I'll come back to this in a day and clean off any surface oil as well. Beautiful gun. Okay. I'm going to put it back. No, I'm going to leave it right. I'm going to leave it right in the view for now. There we go. Fingerprints on it already again. So yeah, it was invented by John Browning, but he didn't get to finish it. FN finished it. It's in Belgium. In any FL gun you see, FN gun, you'll see FN Herstal Belgium. Sorry, I got a speech impediment today. And that's just telling you it's made in the town of Herstal, or the city, or whatever it's called. One of the best parts about this gun, I think, is that it's just been so copied. You know, when something, imitation is the finest form of flattery, and the fact that this has been copied over and over and over again by different manufacturers, different countries, different everything, it's something you can't really describe as far as quality is concerned. Now, it is basically a 1911. Effectively, it is a copy. It's built just like a 1911. Everything works the same way, except it's just a 9mm. You know, it really. I think they stole the idea from Colt. It's built just like a 1911. That's really all there is to say about that. I got to tell you, this is definitely one of my favorite guns. Took it to the range, shot it 3 times, shot a 2.5-inch group at 10 yards with those 3 bullets. I'm no pistol expert when it comes to shooting, so 2.5-inch group at 10 yards with 3 bullets is pretty fancy for me. It's good. I think, especially because I did it the first 3 bullets I shot. One thing to be careful of is the tendency for this pistol to bite. And I'll show you what I mean by that right now. See this pistol right here? Put your hand up there. You want to ride high in the pistol like a lot of those Glock shooters do now. Want to ride real high right underneath the big beaver tail? Watch this hammer. Ready? Going nice and slow. Look at that, if you can see that right there. It's kind of pinching my skin, right? It's holding it there. That's called hammer bite. And these guns are notorious for it. I don't really know why, but this one doesn't bite me as bad. It'll get me, but it's not as bad as my copies anyway of the same gun. But that's just about it. I think that's really all I gotta say about that one. This one I'm probably never gonna trade, so nobody ask. I've already traded away all the guns I want to trade right now anyway. The trigger pull, like I said earlier, is heavy for a single action pistol, but not too heavy to the point where it's obnoxious, and any competent gunsmith worth his salt can make it very unheavy for a pretty short price, especially because this is a $900 gun. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video, guys. Enjoy your weekend, and this is James T. signing out of the Top Secret location.